Welcome to Smack This, the unofficial Godsmack podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Humphrey, where I talk all things Godsmack. This is episode 40 this week, the me episode. I'll explain that a little bit later. This week in Godsmack news, the band posted on social media the You Asked, We Answer video, part 4. The question was, what's it like to still be on top for over 20 plus years? Robbie actually answered this one, so it was great to see Robbie. Robbie answered this one. Robbie basically said it's unbelievable, still touring, still being a headlining act, and they still call all the shots. I really like that answer, and yeah, that was great. Um, on Monday, the band announced a big announcement that they are going on a summer tour with the band Stained. Uh, Godsmack and Stained's had this connection since the Wake the F Up tour back in 2001. So, yeah, they're going on tour with each other. I'm not going to list all the tour dates, but the tour kicks off July the 18th in St. Louis, Missouri, and ends August the 31st in Austin, Texas. To see all the tour dates, go to Godsmack.com. I think the tickets go on sale tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think that's absolutely fantastic. That's going to be a hot summer tour. Um, yeah. Now, whether or not they're co-headlining, I don't really know. Is Stained the special guest? I don't know. They haven't really said that part, so my guess would probably be a co-headlining thing. But maybe we'll find out in the weeks to come. So that's it, Godsmack News. This is episode 40, the me episode. On this episode, I thought I would talk about some of the questions I get asked since I started this podcast, along with some other stuff, the future episodes of this podcast. So let's get it started. Uh, Question one is, how did this podcast get started? Now, I've never said why or how this podcast got started. Uh, I'm a huge music, especially rock and roll music fan. Not only do I love to listen to it, but love to read it, whether it was the old 80s magazines like Metal Edge, Hit Parader, Circus, Metal Scene, the list goes on and on. But I also love reading the books, like a Def Leppard Historia book, or Paul Stanley's Face the Music, or Phil Collins' Adrenalize books, or there's a ton of YouTube books I have. Of course, Sully's book. Just the list goes on and on. But I love doing that, and I love reading information or hearing information. But I also love listening and watching podcasts, music podcasts. So I listen to like two different Kiss podcasts, two different Bon Jovi podcasts. I listen to a Def Leppard podcast, a Guns N' Roses podcast, a Metallica one, and I found another one that's a Queensryche one, and that's really cool. I like their podcast. But anyway, so I've been doing that for a while, reading and stuff forever ago, since I was a teenager. But of course, the podcast stuff has been recently. And back in April last year, I broke my heel bone. Had to have reconstructive surgery. So I was basically laid up in the bed or on the couch. So I watched a bunch of other podcasts and stuff, and I was like, I wonder if Aerosmith has one, and I wonder if Godsmack has one. Surely there's a Godsmack podcast. But when I would do the little Google search or on YouTube, there would be an episode of Sully doing an interview or an episode with Shannon, or they would probably talk about the first album, or there'd be an episode on the Awake album, and that was it. And so I was telling my wife, I was like, I think I'm going to do a Godsmack podcast. I love this band. They need a podcast. And so she said, go for it. Then I talked myself out of it. And then I'd go for it. I think, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then I talked myself out of it. And then one day, like I said, I was laid up. I couldn't walk. Uh, I couldn't stand. So she threw me a notebook, and she was like, write down episodes of what you would talk about. And before I knew it, I had like 2 full pages of of stuff. It just all kind of poured out, and then she showed me how this part works. And I did the little intro episode, which is still on my channel. Uh, so I did that, and just to see if anybody was interested. Uh, about 30 minutes later, I had over 30 views, and I was like, okay, well, that day I recorded episode 1, ranking the album covers. Uh, if you go back and watch that, it's actually kind of funny because you can see I'm panicking, I'm sweating, but yeah, that's fun. So that's how the podcast got started, and then everything just kind of took off from there. Question number 2: how did I become a Godsmack fan? Well, I've kind of talked about it. I'm going to adjust my camera just a tad. Uh, Talked about it here and there on some episodes, especially the early episodes. Um, how I became a fan was I was driving home from work. There used to be a rock station called 94.3 The X that played new rock. Now we have 106.1. But they were playing the Whatever song, and it caught my ear, it caught my attention, and I loved it. I thought it was great, but I didn't make me go buy the album. A few months later, they started playing the new single, Keep Away. As soon as I heard that guitar intro by Sully and the little slide bass by Robbie, I was hooked, and I went and bought that first album, and been a Godsmack fan ever since. Uh, let's see, favorite song. Question number 3. I love them all. Uh, Even though I picked some least favorites on album reviews, I still love them. I love all their songs. There's my notes. Question number 4. Have I met the band? I have not met the band. I would love to meet the band. Uh, I'd almost kind of be a little nervous on meeting them, but yeah, I'd love to meet them. But no, I haven't. Question number 5 is: have I seen Godsmack live? I have not seen Godsmack live. I have had numerous opportunities. I could have saw them when they opened up for Seven Dust on the Voodoo tour. In fact, Sully talks about that in his hometown sessions. He couldn't remember the town, or he could sort of remember the place. It was called Moose's Ear in my hometown. And in fact, I tweeted it to him and emailed it to him, but he never did answer. But yeah, but I could have saw that. I could have saw him on the Wake the Effed Up tour. They were headlining here in my hometown was Stained, um, but I couldn't go. Work. Plus, I was newly married at that time to my first wife, and we were having kids at that point, so money was kind of tight. Faceless, same thing. Uh, so yeah, I've never seen them live. That is my to-do list, especially on this tour, is to see Godsmack live. See, question number 6, and I have been asked this quite a lot. Do they know about this podcast? Um, As far as I know, they don't. I've not told them. There's been times that I kind of think they've been watching or listening, but I don't know. I mean, they haven't basically come out and said it. But as far as I know, they don't know anything about this podcast. Um, but I want to tell a really funny story real fast. So, as I got this podcast going, if I don't know, maybe 6, maybe 8 episodes in, I just thought for fun I'd type in "Smack This," the unofficial, and my face popped up on Google search, and I basically had a panic attack, and yeah, so I was worried that the band would see it and tell me to stop or, you know, whatever. But yeah, so I thought that was funny. My wife was like, "Well, they probably would love it, but who knows if they watch it or not." Question number 7. This is the last one. How did I come up with the ending of "You Just Got Godsmacked"? Um, I was me and my wife and my 2 kids were at my favorite pizza place, and they were asking me about the podcast and how it was going. And if you watch the very early episodes, you'll see the ending is "bye" or "see you next week" or something like that. And I was like, or live hard, die hard, or something like that. Live fast, die hard. Um, but I couldn't really. That didn't really roll off the tongue. And my daughter asked me how the band got its name, so I told her the story. And she said, "Well, that'd be kind of cool if you said you just got Godsmacked." And then my wife was like, "And do the hand clap." So, and that's how it started. So I did it in one of the episodes. I don't really remember which one. Maybe you can tell me. Write me a comment down below. And I've had it ever since, and I kind of play around with it if you noticed, if you've been watching for a while. Alright, so that's the questions part. Alright, so I was going to talk about some of the memorabilia that I have. Of course, I got all their CDs. Um, I haven't got the Apocalypse Blues reviews or the revivals, but that's on my list to get next. Um, I got magazines. If they were in a magazine, especially in the early days, I bought it. Posters, same thing. T-shirts. On every episode, I wear a different Godsmack T-shirt. This is the 1000 horsepower World Tour shirt. Uh, I got all their DVDs. Sully's book, which I talked about before in an episode. Plus, my wife got me this awesome Godsmack jacket. I love this jacket. Number 1 is because it's my favorite band. But number 2 is the colors. It's I don't know if you can tell it or not, but it's green, white, and gray, which is my favorite NBA team, which is the Boston Celtics. I've been a Celtic fan, me and my brother, since we were little, watching Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Danny Ainge. The list goes on and on. I've been a Celtic fan ever since. Now my son's a Celtic fan, so yeah, I love it. I haven't worn it yet, but I love it because I'm afraid to get it dirty. Is that is that weird or what? Okay, so also I was want to talk about this plaque if I can get a hold of it without knocking everything else down. My daughter got me this plaque. I want to say it was my birthday. I'm not really sure. She got this off of Etsy. I'm pretty sure it was already in the frame and everything. It's a picture of the band, uh, early days, Circus Magazine, right there. It's got Sully's autograph. It came with authenticity, easy for me to say, with the picture of Sully actually signing this. So that's really cool. It's got Sully's backstage pass kind of photo crew, the Avalon tour, Sully's guitar pick, Godsmack 4 backstage pass. So yeah, that is really cool, and it's been in every episode since you got it for me, and I love it. That's all the Godsmack memorabilia that I'm going to talk about. Okay, so let's talk about future episodes. Um, so what I'm going to talk about later in future episodes ahead to get you guys ready for it. I'm going to talk about TV specials, such as the Godsmack Rock and Roll Hall of Fame performance. They actually perform inside the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm going to talk about that. MTV Hard Rock Live, which was the Faceless tour. I kind of talked about that with the Changes DVD, how they had a different kind of stage, and this is a really good pro shot of this. It's not the whole entire show, but you kind of get a great idea. But we'll talk about that when we get to that episode. Um, I'm going to talk about VH1 Rock Honors. They were in it for a smidget. They did do a song. I thought it's worth talking about, plus some other really cool bands that took part of that. I'm going to talk about special TV, or I guess not really special, but TV shows that they were on, like the late night shows that they performed on. That would probably be one big episode on that one. Uh, I was going to do, like I mentioned in last week's episode, which was episode 39, the Tommy Stewart episode. So if you didn't watch that or listen to it, go back and check it out. I'm going to talk. I talked about Tommy after Godsmack. This is going to be Tommy pre-Godsmack. So we're going to talk about the Halloween album where he has bonus tracks that he played on, and Lillian X whole album that he played on. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, I'm going to go through tour by tour and do a review. Starting with the Voodoo tour, I actually found a great bootleg video concert of the Voodoo tour, where they're actually playing in a club. Plus, we're going to talk about Woodstock '99, but go all the way to the Legends tour, and I'll post the links to those shows when I do those reviews, concert reviews. Now, the one tour that will probably be the hardest because I can't find a video that shows the whole entire concert, and that's the Oracle tour. So I may have to do like bits and pieces of that one. We'll find out. Plus, I'm going to talk about the new tour, the Lighting Up the Sky tour. So when they do a few shows, then I'll do an episode on it. Plus, prior to that, before that tour starts, I was going to guess the set list episode, which I think will be kind of fun because there are certain songs they have to play, I think. But more fun for me is picking the songs off the Lighting Up the Sky. Which songs do I think they'll play? Which songs I don't think will make the set list at all. Let's see, what else? I'm going to talk about their influences. So, going to talk about different bands like Aerosmith. I'm really looking forward to doing an episode on that because I'm a big Aerosmith fan myself. Alice in Chains, Black Sabbath. We're going to do an episode of Led Zeppelin. I'm going to do an episode of Metallica, as Lars would say. Metallica. An episode of Pantera, and an episode of Rush. After I get to do all that, I've been thinking about doing this for a while now, but has some guests on the podcast. Future down the road, so you got time to think about it. If you want to do this, let me know. Write me a comment down below. And my camera's messing up. There we go. Write me a comment down below. But yeah, I thought, you could be a guest on the podcast. We'll talk about Godsmack. Plus, I have a little thing I'm kind of wanting to do. I actually kind of thought about ranking songs on each album with a different guest. So yeah. So if you're interested, let me know. Uh, you can follow me or send me a private message on my Twitter. That's KevinHumpreytn. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok, so send me a private message there as well at KEVTN47. So, yeah, if you're and my Facebook friends on the Godsmack fan pages, if you're interested, write me a comment. Tell me if you're interested or not, and I'll let you know uh, after I do all this other stuff first. And then, yeah, so you got time to think about it. All right. Homework this week. Have you seen Godsmack live? Write me a comment down below. Tell me the tour and the show that you went to. Have you ever met the band? How was it? Were they nice? They seem like great guys, from what I've always seen on YouTube of fans meeting the band. But yeah, have you met the band? Uh, and where are you from? I was looking at my kind of geography kind of thing, information on the podcast. It says that 44% of people who watch this podcast are actually from the United States. So that really blows my mind. So if you live in the United States, just tell me the state. If you're out of the country, which is cool as well, write me the country. Yeah, I'd love to know because that just blows me away. All right. So that's it for this week, episode 40. Next week is episode 41. Godsmack's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame performance is what we're going to be talking about in 2001. So it's the Awake tour. If you know anybody that's Godsmack fan, likes to talk about Godsmack, hear about Godsmack, send them this way. Send them the link. Tell them to go on Google, Firefox, YouTube. Type in Smack This, the unofficial. All the episodes will pop up. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. That helps out the podcast. And that's it for this week. I'll see you guys next Thursday. And you just got smacked.